Do you feel that no matter how much you accomplish, there's always just another level or goal to reach? This constant pursuit of improvement can be both motivating, but it can also be exhausting and just wear you out. But what if there was a way to feel both happy with where you are now while you still strive for more? And that's where the concept from this book, The Gap and the Gain, comes in. And in this video, we're going to discuss what this is and how you can use it to completely transform your life. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone. A periodontist is just on a mission to give you information to help get you out of the rat race. Do me a favor, download the free passive income guide, links below this video. Now, this book, this Gap in the Gain, it's really a simple concept. It's actually popularized by Dr. Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy. It's based on the idea that we all have some sort of ideal version of ourselves that we're constantly striving for. And this ideal version, for most people, it's always just out of reach. And it creates this gap between where we are now and where we want to be. But instead of focusing on this gap, we can focus on, that's right, the gain. The gain is the progress we've actually made along the way and the things that we've accomplished so far trying to get to this ideal version of ourselves. Now, understanding this gap and this gain can really help you shift your mindset from one of constantly striving to one of appreciation and gratitude. And I can tell you from studying millionaires, billionaires all the time, that's one of the biggest similarities that I'll find among the really, really successful people. It's their ability to constantly be appreciative, to constantly think about being appreciative, to being thankful, to showing acts of gratitude. So by focusing on this gain, you can actually turn around and feel proud of what you've accomplished so far, and also to keep you motivated to keep going on for whatever you're trying to do. And by accepting the gap, it's just a natural part of the process, you can actually find happiness and fulfillment in the present moments. Now, if all of this seems confusing, let me show you a couple of diagrams. I hopefully will help you because I'm more of a visual learner. Hopefully this will help you as well. So you've got my wonderful picture of the brain, okay? Here's the brain, and you've got the gap that we talked about, and we have the gain. Now, this is where most people start, all right? So let's take somebody that's overweight. Let's say somebody is 50 pounds overweight, okay? That's where they're starting. They visualize themselves as they want to lose 50 pounds. Let's say they want to lose 50 pounds in 6 months. And that is their goal that they're setting, okay? 50 pounds in 6 months. Now, whenever somebody is visualizing this as the ideal, well, guess what? Whenever they measure anything, they're only measuring, hey, have they achieved losing 50 pounds? Okay, so let's say they go for two and a half months and they've only lost 5 pounds. Ideally, they haven't lost the 50 pounds yet, right? So, but what they're doing is they're going back and they're only measuring what they've achieved. Okay, they've only lost like 10 pounds. What does this cause? This causes failure. Okay, you may quit. They may quit. They're not proceeding along as fast as they like. They're frustrated, disappointed, low self-esteem, guilt, depression, and on and on and on. Okay, this is how the brain looks at these two different things. The other way you could look at it is not looking in the gap, but you want to focus on the gain. Okay, how far has this person come from where they were, 50 pounds overweight? Now they lost 10 pounds. Okay, same thing. They're starting 50 pounds overweight. Their still ideal self is losing 50 pounds, but instead now they look at what they've achieved. Okay, what they've achieved, they've lost 10 pounds, but when they measure, they're measuring from where they started. They're looking back where they started. What have they gained along this process? Now they can start to see much more positive result. They can see their success. Okay. They can say, well, maybe I never ever got off the couch. I always just ate potato chips. I never exercised. Now I'm taking walks around the block. I'm kind of watching myself eat a little bit better. I'm going to the gym. I'm not really getting to the weights too much, but maybe just some machine weights, but a little bit. Okay. Well, take a look at when they look back at how they started before, they used to not do all that, right? They used to not exercise, take a walk around the block. They didn't even care about what they ate. They just, if I'm hungry, I'm just going to go eat, regardless. Mostly crap food. Okay, so they're looking at what they've achieved and they measure from behind. Whereas over here, they're looking at what they've achieved, but they're measuring forward. Okay, they're looking at their ideal instead of looking backward. Okay, now when you focus on the gap, okay, let me go over another little illustration here. Okay, we're going to use the same scenario. Here's the success. Success is losing 50 pounds, or it could be investing and becoming a millionaire, having $1 million in the bank, whatever it is. Okay, so if we'll go back to the 50 pounds, you want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, ideally they want to lose 50 pounds. So most people are in the gap. They're measuring forward. I've only lost 10 pounds. I've only lost 20 pounds. They're constantly looking at this ideal. But a lot of times, and the book really illustrates this, the best analogy that I can give you is you're in the desert and you're let's say you've been dropped off in the desert, you're dying of thirst, and what do you see in the distance? You always see a what? A mirage. And guess what? You may see some palm trees, you may see some water, you may see a lake, but as you're crawling through the sand, you're crawling through the desert, what happens to the mirage as you get closer to it? It typically stays away, right? You never get to it. That's why it's called a mirage, right? And so the closer that you get, the further it goes away. Same thing with this. So ideally, as you keep moving forward, it's almost like that thing, that ideal, that goal, whatever, it seems to the point where it's unattainable. So instead of measuring forward, you always want to measure backwards. Okay. So when you focus on the gap, you're always measuring yourself or your situation against this ideal. Okay. Again, the ideal, it's a moving target. It's a mirage. It's always just quite out of reach. So, for instance, you'll be constantly comparing where you are now to where you want to be. And again, this is going to lead to feelings of frustration, anxiety, inadequacy, all of that. But on the other hand, again, when you measure backwards, when you focus on the gain, you're looking at how far you've come or the gains you've made. You start to reflect on, hey, you're looking at the person that you've become along the way. You're looking at the man that you've created. Okay, you're reflecting on your progress, and then you're also, the book recommends that you're constantly celebrating your achievements. Hey, I went through the whole day today without eating chocolate. That's my win today, or whatever it is. You're celebrating. You're constantly reinforcing that in your brain instead of just always being negative all the time, which you're not going to be happy if you're always that negative self-talk, right? And when you focus on the gain, this is when you're going to start building more confidence and you're going to get momentum going, okay? Which can help you achieve your goals more effectively. That's the whole basis. When we did the Dave Ramsey deal back when we had like $300,000 of student loan debt, owed like 200 grand on that first house, people will call into him and say, well, you always say to start paying off the smallest debt, smallest to largest, but what if I've got one that's 20% interest and the smallest debt is like 5% interest? That doesn't make mathematical sense. Well, no, it does not make mathematical sense. But what it does, that now that I've learned more about this, the psychology, getting that first debt, that small debt paid off, it creates momentum. Thus, the name, the debt snowball. You want to create momentum. You want to give you that win. And then that win gives you that confidence to keep going. Instead of trying to pay off that debt with it could be, a lot of debt with that high interest rate. It seems like the more that you do, you're not really getting ahead. And then what happens? Failure, you quit. Okay. Now, this whole concept, it can pretty much be applied to really, I know we've been talking about weight loss, but really any area of your life, whether you want to focus on weight loss, getting healthier, personal, or investing or whatever, or professional, okay? Your business, your practice, whatever. So by focusing on the gain, you can improve your relationships, your health, your fitness, again, in your career. And this is really going to help you start to overcome obstacles and, more importantly, stay motivated when you face challenges. Okay. There's another book that I read. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And the basis of it is kind of like this book too. The basis of it, it's not about the destination that we're trying to get to. It's the process that you're going through to create the person, to create the man that you're striving to be. Okay. So don't be so concerned about where you're going. Look back, always measure backwards of what going through this process has allowed you to be. Okay. Dan Sullivan, Ben Hardy, The Gap and the Gain. If you like this book, there's another book that they've also written. It's the reason why I actually started this. I've been procrastinating starting this YouTube channel, Who Not How. If you want to check it out, I got a summary video you can check out right here.